Hey guys, today's podcast is basically going to be inspired by, well, it is inspired by a video I was watching from Psych2Go about HSPs, which stands for a hypersensitive person, or personality. I believe it's person. So I felt like I should make a podcast on it as well because I was told for so long that I'm like super sensitive. Maybe it's because of some of these reasons, I'm not sure. So I jotted some notes down of a couple things that I feel like that contributes to me being a hypersensitive person. One of them is I can't stand loud noises. I don't mind every now and again listening to loud music, but for the most part, just chaotic stuff I don't do too well with. Um, it's emotionally exhausting for me. There's times where I feel like I take things I take things just a lot deeper than a lot of people, and it gets to be draining for me sometimes. It's challenging most days for me just because I feel like I feel things a lot deeper than most people. So I feel like maybe that's why I get very drained. I catch an attitude a lot of the times, not because I'm angry at the person, but I feel like, why can't you understand? I kind of just want to be by myself right now. It's too much going on. And so, yeah, that's another reason as well. It's hard moving on for me sometimes just because I feel like I'm a hypersensitive person. I tend to, how can I say this? I tend to hold on to the past a lot, which affects me in my present. There's so many things that I feel like I should be doing or I could be doing, but because I don't know if it's because of I've dealt with so many heavy things, in my life or on my chest or something, I don't know. But I feel like I'm very sensitive to just moving on and letting go of certain things that just hold me back a lot of the time. I feel like I just can't. I feel like I'm afraid of low key failing in a way. So maybe that contributes to that as well. I don't deal with conflict really well, whether it's at work, whether it's in a relationship. I like to not brush things off, but I just don't like to deal with the issue. I want to deal with the issue, but I don't want to deal with it if it's going to be in a chaotic setting. I rather just relax and say what I have to say. If you aren't hearing me or if I'm not communicating with you well, then I prefer to walk away and come back to it later. Some people don't deal with that very well, but I feel like I communicate better that way. I don't like yelling. I don't like screaming. However, I've come to those conclusions sometimes where I feel like that's my only solution and it's not. And so I rather just, deal with it in a different manner. So conflict is something that I don't deal with too well. I don't like people feeling like I'm coming for them in any kind of way. So I don't know. I just feel like it's best if I just kind of just stay to myself a lot. My boundaries get crossed easily. I can say one thing and somebody could be like, girl, and they'll do what they want to do anyway. So that kind of makes me want to be to myself a lot of the times too. So I don't know if that contributes to it. And I find it difficult to come to terms with a lot of things. Um, I don't know, like I'm my worst critic in a lot of situations. I just don't seem to, you know, forgive myself well in a lot of cases. I'm hard on myself when it comes to work and school and just really everything, which again holds me back in many ways. I don't know if it affects you in that way as well. You can definitely comment down below and let me know how that affects you in some ways, or if you feel like you're misunderstood. You don't really tend to feel like you get your point across to people. You don't really want to offend anybody in any way, so you just kind of let things go, let things slide. It's harder for others to understand you. People think that, you're dramatic or you're a crybaby. They just overlook that you really are, you have feelings, and they should take that into consideration. Some people just don't care if you have feelings, honestly. It's difficult for someone to deal with you or to be in a relationship with you. They feel like they might have to walk on eggshells a lot of the times. You're very aware of your emotions, so therefore, some people aren't, and they tend to just think that whatever they say or do just doesn't affect anybody else, and they're used to just feeling how they feel and they don't care. You know, um, Everything is a big deal sometimes to me. Things that shouldn't be a big deal is a big deal to me, and I think that being a hypersensitive person or just being rejected at times kind of make me feel that way, I think. So I'm very sensitive to certain things like that. I don't know why. Um, like I said, these are just ideas that I jotted down from watching the video from Psych2Go. I'm afraid to speak my mind because I'm afraid I'm not going to be heard. there are times where I feel like I'm saying things but nobody's listening. So I act out in ways that is just unnecessary because it gets me nowhere. It just put a stamp on my character. It makes me look like a difficult person to be around and to be with. In reality, I'm just speaking to the wrong people. I'm not saying the wrong things. I'm just speaking to the wrong people. You don't have to think because a person is a family member or a spouse or a friend or whoever that they're just automatically going to listen to you at all times. You have to be mindful of what you say to people and who you say it to, because everybody's not there to listen to you. They can hear you, but they're not listening. So it's hard to get through to people. You can't force them. You have to understand that you need to communicate that well with people, because like I said, you can't force them to listen to you. I feel like a lot of the times when we don't communicate well with people and we're hypersensitive, it causes us to look like we don't care. We look like we're not considerate of other people's feelings, when in reality we probably just don't really want to hurt anybody. We want to get our point across, but if we feel like we're going to be attacked to get our point across, then we're just going to be very quiet, and that's not a good thing. If you make people feel like you have poor communication skills, there are times where you kind of revert to being a child again in so many ways and you don't even realize it. People will take advantage of you being a hypersensitive person, whether it's your thoughts, your feelings, whether it's your hard work, things that you put great effort into don't really get acknowledged. When you're a hypersensitive person, that could affect you in ways where, you have trouble sleeping at night. You toss and turn. It's not a big deal to everybody else, but it is to you. There are things that, there are people that have hurt my feelings in the past that I feel like I still hold on to this day, which is not a good thing. I definitely have to learn how to grow from it, move past it, and know that things happen for a reason. You have feelings and they matter. I have to learn how to acknowledge my feelings being a hypersensitive person, or else everything is going to affect me that shouldn't affect me. There are times where it's harder for me to deal with criticism, not because I don't want constructive criticism, but because I feel like I was criticized for things that didn't matter, like my appearance and things like that. I feel like contributed to a lot, with me being hypersensitive now. I don't think I would be as sensitive as I am. I think for some people, being criticized a lot makes them a hard person, hard in the terms of character. They're very stern, they're very strong, they're very about what they talk about, in a sense of you can't mess with them in any kind of way. You can't mess with their money, their mind, their emotion. And then you have me. To not necessarily saying that I'm not any of those things or I don't have any of those characteristics, but I feel like I allow those, negative thoughts and words take over. And instead of me building from it, I let it hinder me financially, hinder me in relationships, hinder me being just an individual, loving myself. Being a hypersensitive person, I like to stay to myself. I like to be by myself because I just would rather not deal. I would rather just make my money, mind my business, and keep it pushing. I don't really feel the need to be around people a lot. Or if I'm going to be around somebody, I would hope that there'd be somebody that is patient and understanding. I don't expect for everybody to be able to deal with somebody that is hypersensitive. I think for me, it's best that I know how to deal with my feelings now before I make new friends and put myself in new jobs where I'm uncomfortable being who I am. It matters when you care about yourself as a hypersensitive person. You have to take care of your mental health when you're a hypersensitive person, I think, because you're going to allow the smallest things to get a hold of you. You're going to allow the smallest, criticism. You're going to find people that say the meanest things to you or that treat you ways that you wish they never treated you. You're going to allow that to really penetrate and affect you. I can say that because it's happened to me. It's happening to me on a daily basis. When I work with people, I feel like, they speak to me in ways that they know they're being, disrespectful or whatever, but I have to let it go because I'm learning to not let their views, their thoughts, their words affect me in a way that is going to overtake me and it's going to drain me at the end of the day. I have a life to live, and you do too. Comment down below, let me know if you feel this way about anything, if you're a hypersensitive person, if you know somebody who's like that, if you've been ever told, you're a crybaby, get over it. Let me know down below how you really feel. If it affects you in your work, if it affects you at home, and how many times have you tried to become a tough person, a tough parent, and you feel guilty from it, and you feel like, you're not a good parent, you're not a good spouse. You start to feel very isolated. You start to feel like you want to cry all the time, but you can't because you have to be strong. A lot of us just want to be strong constantly. Let me know down below of any of those thoughts and ideas about being an HSP.